1 hour to improve your English listening skills.
英文加中文配音，每天1小时，增强你的英文听力。
What day is it today? What day is it today?
今天星期几？
What day is it today? What day is it today? It's Monday, right? It's Monday, right?
今天是星期一，对吧？
It's Monday, right? It's Monday, right? Yes, it's the start of the week. Yes, it's the start of the week.
是的，这是新的一周的开始。
Yes, it's the start of the week. Yes, it's the start of the week. Do you have any plans for the weekend? Do you have any plans for the weekend?
你周末有什么计划吗？
Do you have any plans for the weekend? Do you have any plans for the weekend? I'm thinking about going hiking on Saturday. I'm thinking about going hiking on Saturday.
我在考虑星期六去爬山。
I'm thinking about going hiking on Saturday. I'm thinking about going hiking on Saturday. Sounds fun. What time do you usually go? Sounds fun. What time do you usually go?
听起来不错，你通常几点出发？
Sounds fun. What time do you usually go? Sounds fun. What time do you usually go? I like to start early, around 8 a.m. I like to start early, around 8 a.m.
我喜欢早一点，大概早上8点左右。
I like to start early, around 8 a.m. I like to start early, around 8 a.m. That way, I can finish before noon. That way, I can finish before noon.
这样我可以在中午之前结束。
That way, I can finish before noon. That way, I can finish before noon. Are you free this Friday evening? Are you free this Friday evening?
你星期五晚上有空吗？
Are you free this Friday evening? Are you free this Friday evening? I should be, what time are you thinking? I should be, what time are you thinking?
应该有空，你想几点见面？
I should be, what time are you thinking? I should be, what time are you thinking? How about we meet at 7 p.m.? How about we meet at 7 p.m.?
我们7点见怎么样？
How about we meet at 7 p.m.? How about we meet at 7 p.m.? Perfect, we can grab dinner first. Perfect, we can grab dinner first.
很好，我们可以先去吃晚餐。
Perfect, we can grab dinner first. Perfect, we can grab dinner first. Do you remember what day our meeting is? Do you remember what day our meeting is?
你记得我们的会议是哪一天吗？
Do you remember what day our meeting is? Do you remember what day our meeting is? It's scheduled for Thursday afternoon. It's scheduled for Thursday afternoon.
安排在星期四下午。
It's scheduled for Thursday afternoon. It's scheduled for Thursday afternoon. Oh right, at 3 p.m.? Oh right, at 3 p.m.?
哦对，下午3点对吗？
Oh right, at 3 p.m.? Oh right, at 3 p.m.? Yes, don't forget to prepare the presentation. Yes, don't forget to prepare the presentation.
是的，别忘了准备好演示。
Yes, don't forget to prepare the presentation. Yes, don't forget to prepare the presentation. How long will the meeting last? How long will the meeting last?
会议大概会持续多久？
How long will the meeting last? How long will the meeting last? It should be about 2 hours. It should be about 2 hours.
应该大约2个小时。
It should be about 2 hours. It should be about 2 hours. When is your next dentist appointment? When is your next dentist appointment?
你的下一次牙医预约是什么时候？
When is your next dentist appointment? When is your next dentist appointment? It's on the 15th, at 10 in the morning. It's on the 15th, at 10 in the morning.
是在15号早上10点。
It's on the 15th, at 10 in the morning. It's on the 15th, at 10 in the morning. That reminds me, I need to book a haircut. That reminds me, I need to book a haircut.
这让我想起来，我需要预约理发。
That reminds me, I need to book a haircut. That reminds me, I need to book a haircut. When are you planning to do that? When are you planning to do that?
你打算什么时候去？
When are you planning to do that? When are you planning to do that? Maybe on Wednesday, after work. Maybe on Wednesday, after work.
也许星期3下班后。
Maybe on Wednesday, after work. Maybe on Wednesday, after work. What time do you usually get off work? What time do you usually get off work?
你通常几点下班？
What time do you usually get off work? What time do you usually get off work? Around 6 p.m., but it varies. Around 6 p.m., but it varies.
大约下午6点，不过有时候会变多。
Around 6 p.m., but it varies. Around 6 p.m., but it varies. Do you have a favorite day of the week? Do you have a favorite day of the week?
你有最喜欢的星期几吗？
Do you have a favorite day of the week? Do you have a favorite day of the week? I love Saturdays, because I can sleep in. I love Saturdays, because I can sleep in.
我喜欢星期六，因为我可以睡到自然醒。
I love Saturdays, because I can sleep in. I love Saturdays, because I can sleep in. Me too, it's the best day to relax. Me too, it's the best day to relax.
我也是，这是最放松的一天。
Me too, it's the best day to relax. Me too, it's the best day to relax. What time do you usually wake up on weekends? What time do you usually wake up on weekends?
你周末通常几点起床？
What time do you usually wake up on weekends? What time do you usually wake up on weekends? Around 9 or 10 a.m., depending on how late I stay up. Around 9 or 10 a.m., depending on how late I stay up.
大约早上9点或10点，取决于前一晚睡得多晚。
Around 9 or 10 a.m., depending on how late I stay up. Around 9 or 10 a.m., depending on how late I stay up. Do you set an alarm for that? Do you set an alarm for that?
你会设闹钟吗？
Do you set an alarm for that? Do you set an alarm for that? No, I just wake up naturally. No, I just wake up naturally.
不会，我自然醒来。
No, I just wake up naturally. No, I just wake up naturally. How often do you check the time during the day? How often do you check the time during the day?
你白天会经常看时间吗？
How often do you check the time during the day? How often do you check the time during the day? Quite often, especially when I'm busy. Quite often, especially when I'm busy.
相当频繁，尤其是忙的时候。
Quite often, especially when I'm busy. Quite often, especially when I'm busy. When do you usually go to bed? When do you usually go to bed?
你通常几点上床睡觉？
When do you usually go to bed? When do you usually go to bed? Around 11 p.m., but sometimes later. Around 11 p.m., but sometimes later.
大约晚上11点，但有时会晚一些。
Around 11 p.m., but sometimes later. Around 11 p.m., but sometimes later. Do you have a bedtime routine? Do you have a bedtime routine?
你有睡前的习惯吗？
Do you have a bedtime routine? Do you have a bedtime routine? Yes, I like to read for 30 minutes before sleeping. Yes, I like to read for 30 minutes before sleeping.
有的，我喜欢睡前读30分钟的书。
Yes, I like to read for 30 minutes before sleeping. Yes, I like to read for 30 minutes before sleeping. How do you keep track of important dates? How do you keep track of important dates?
你怎么记住重要的日期？
How do you keep track of important dates? How do you keep track of important dates? I use a calendar on my phone. I use a calendar on my phone.
我用手机上的日历。
I use a calendar on my phone. I use a calendar on my phone. When is your birthday? When is your birthday?
你的生日是什么时候？
When is your birthday? When is your birthday? It's on December 12th. It's on December 12th.
是12月12号。
It's on December 12th. It's on December 12th. That's coming up soon. Any plans? That's coming up soon. Any plans?
那快到了，有什么计划吗？
That's coming up soon. Any plans? That's coming up soon. Any plans? Not yet, but I might have a small gathering. Not yet, but I might have a small gathering.
还没有，不过我可能会办个小聚会。
Not yet, but I might have a small gathering. Not yet, but I might have a small gathering. Do you know the date today? Do you know the date today?
你知道今天几号吗？
Do you know the date today? Do you know the date today? It's the 3rd, isn't it? It's the 3rd, isn't it?
今天是3号，对吧？
It's the 3rd, isn't it? It's the 3rd, isn't it? Yes, it's already the 3rd of the month. Yes, it's already the 3rd of the month.
是的，已经是这个月的第3天了。
Yes, it's already the 3rd of the month. Yes, it's already the 3rd of the month. Time flies, doesn't it? Time flies, doesn't it?
时间过得真快，不是吗？
Time flies, doesn't it? Time flies, doesn't it? It really does, especially when you're busy. It really does, especially when you're busy.
是啊，尤其是忙碌的时候。
It really does, especially when you're busy. It really does, especially when you're busy. What time does the movie start tonight? What time does the movie start tonight?
今晚电影几点开始？
What time does the movie start tonight? What time does the movie start tonight? Starts at 7:30 p.m. Starts at 7:30 p.m.
它在晚上7点30分开始。
Starts at 7:30 p.m. Starts at 7:30 p.m. Should we get there a bit early? Should we get there a bit early?
我们是不是该早点到？
Should we get there a bit early? Should we get there a bit early? Yes, let's aim for 7:15 to get good seats. Yes, let's aim for 7:15 to get good seats.
是的，我们最好在7点15分到，以便选好座位。
Yes, let's aim for 7:15 to get good seats. Yes, let's aim for 7:15 to get good seats. How long is the movie? How long is the movie?
电影多长时间？
How long is the movie? How long is the movie? It's about 2 hours long. It's about 2 hours long.
大约2个小时。
It's about 2 hours long. It's about 2 hours long. So we'll be done by 9:30? So we'll be done by 9:30?
那我们会在9点30分左右结束。
So we'll be done by 9:30? So we'll be done by 9:30? Yes, that sounds about right. Yes, that sounds about right.
是的，差不多是这个时间。
Yes, that sounds about right. Yes, that sounds about right. What time does your flight leave tomorrow? What time does your flight leave tomorrow?
你明天的飞机几点起飞？
What time does your flight leave tomorrow? What time does your flight leave tomorrow? It's scheduled for 8 a.m. It's scheduled for 8 a.m.
预定在早上8点。
It's scheduled for 8 a.m. It's scheduled for 8 a.m. Are you packed and ready to go? Are you packed and ready to go?
你行李收拾好了吗？
Are you packed and ready to go? Are you packed and ready to go? Almost, I just need to finish a few things. Almost, I just need to finish a few things.
差不多了，我还有一些东西要完成。
Almost, I just need to finish a few things. Almost, I just need to finish a few things. How early should we arrive at the airport? How early should we arrive at the airport?
我们应该提前多早到机场？
How early should we arrive at the airport? How early should we arrive at the airport? At least 2 hours before the flight. At least 2 hours before the flight.
至少要提前2个小时。
At least 2 hours before the flight. At least 2 hours before the flight. That means we need to leave by 6 a.m. That means we need to leave by 6 a.m.
那我们要在早上6点出发。
That means we need to leave by 6 a.m. That means we need to leave by 6 a.m. That's pretty early, but better safe than sorry. That's pretty early, but better safe than sorry.
这真是挺早的，但宁早勿迟。
That's pretty early, but better safe than sorry. That's pretty early, but better safe than sorry. When was the last time you traveled? When was the last time you traveled?
你上次旅行是什么时候？
When was the last time you traveled? When was the last time you traveled? About 3 months ago, in May. About 3 months ago, in May.
大约3个月前，在5月。
About 3 months ago, in May. About 3 months ago, in May. Do you remember the exact date? Do you remember the exact date?
你记得确切的日期吗？
Do you remember the exact date? Do you remember the exact date? I think it was the 15th or 16th. I think it was the 15th or 16th.
我想应该是15号或16号。
I think it was the 15th or 16th. I think it was the 15th or 16th. How often do you travel for work? How often do you travel for work?
你通常多久出差一次？
How often do you travel for work? How often do you travel for work? Usually once or twice a month. Usually once or twice a month.
通常每月1到2次。
Usually once or twice a month. Usually once or twice a month. What time do you usually have lunch? What time do you usually have lunch?
你通常几点吃午餐？
What time do you usually have lunch? What time do you usually have lunch? Around 12:30 or 1 p.m. Around 12:30 or 1 p.m.
大约12点半或1点。
Around 12:30 or 1 p.m. Around 12:30 or 1 p.m. Do you take a long lunch break? Do you take a long lunch break?
你午休时间长吗？
Do you take a long lunch break? Do you take a long lunch break? Not really, just about 30 minutes. Not really, just about 30 minutes.
不算长，大概30分钟。
Not really, just about 30 minutes. Not really, just about 30 minutes. When does your workday typically end? When does your workday typically end?
你的一天工作什么时候结束？
When does your workday typically end? When does your workday typically end? It usually wraps up around 5 p.m. It usually wraps up around 5 p.m.
通常在下午5点左右结束。
It usually wraps up around 5 p.m. It usually wraps up around 5 p.m. Do you have any meetings scheduled today? Do you have any meetings scheduled today?
你今天有安排会议吗？
Do you have any meetings scheduled today? Do you have any meetings scheduled today? Yes, I have one at 2 p.m. Yes, I have one at 2 p.m.
是的，我下午2点有一个会议。
Yes, I have one at 2 p.m. Yes, I have one at 2 p.m. How long do you think it will last? How long do you think it will last?
你觉得会议会持续多久？
How long do you think it will last? How long do you think it will last? Hopefully, it won't go past 3 p.m. Hopefully, it won't go past 3 p.m.
希望不会超过下午3点。
Hopefully, it won't go past 3 p.m. Hopefully, it won't go past 3 p.m. Do you remember what time we met last week? Do you remember what time we met last week?
你记得我们上周是几点见面的吗？
Do you remember what time we met last week? Do you remember what time we met last week? It was around 4 p.m., I think. It was around 4 p.m., I think.
应该是下午4点左右，我记得。
It was around 4 p.m., I think. It was around 4 p.m., I think. Was it on Wednesday or Thursday? Was it on Wednesday or Thursday?
是星期3还是星期4？
Was it on Wednesday or Thursday? Was it on Wednesday or Thursday? It was definitely Thursday. It was definitely Thursday.
肯定是星期4。
It was definitely Thursday. It was definitely Thursday. Do you have any plans for next weekend? Do you have any plans for next weekend?
你下个周末有什么计划吗？
Do you have any plans for next weekend? Do you have any plans for next weekend? Not yet, I'm keeping my schedule open. Not yet, I'm keeping my schedule open.
还没有，我想保持时间自由。
Not yet, I'm keeping my schedule open. Not yet, I'm keeping my schedule open. What time do you usually get up on weekdays? What time do you usually get up on weekdays?
你平时工作日几点起床？
What time do you usually get up on weekdays? What time do you usually get up on weekdays? Around 7 a.m. to get ready for work. Around 7 a.m. to get ready for work.
早上7点左右为上班做准备。
Around 7 a.m. to get ready for work. Around 7 a.m. to get ready for work. Do you ever sleep in during the week? Do you ever sleep in during the week?
你平时工作日有睡懒觉的时候吗？
Do you ever sleep in during the week? Do you ever sleep in during the week? Only if I stay up too late the night before. Only if I stay up too late the night before.
只有前一天晚上熬夜的时候，
Only if I stay up too late the night before. Only if I stay up too late the night before. What time do you usually have dinner? What time do you usually have dinner?
你通常几点吃晚餐？
What time do you usually have dinner? What time do you usually have dinner? I typically eat around 6:30 p.m. I typically eat around 6:30 p.m.
我通常在晚上6点半左右吃晚饭。
I typically eat around 6:30 p.m. I typically eat around 6:30 p.m. Do you prefer eating early or late? Do you prefer eating early or late?
你喜欢早点还是晚点吃饭？
Do you prefer eating early or late? Do you prefer eating early or late? Early, so I have time to relax afterward. Early, so I have time to relax afterward.
喜欢早点吃，这样晚饭后有时间放松。
Early, so I have time to relax afterward. Early, so I have time to relax afterward. How often do you check your calendar? How often do you check your calendar?
你多久检查一次日历？
How often do you check your calendar? How often do you check your calendar? Every morning, to see what's planned for the day. Every morning, to see what's planned for the day.
每天早上看看当天的安排。
Every morning, to see what's planned for the day. Every morning, to see what's planned for the day. When was the last time you went to a concert? When was the last time you went to a concert?
你上次去听音乐会是什么时候？
When was the last time you went to a concert? When was the last time you went to a concert? It was last summer, in July. It was last summer, in July.
是去年夏天，7月。
It was last summer, in July. It was last summer, in July. Do you remember the exact date? Do you remember the exact date?
你记得确切的日期吗？
Do you remember the exact date? Do you remember the exact date? I think it was July 18th. I think it was July 18th.
我想应该是7月18号。
I think it was July 18th. I think it was July 18th. What time did the concert start? What time did the concert start?
音乐会几点开始的？
What time did the concert start? What time did the concert start? It started at 8 p.m. It started at 8 p.m.
它在晚上8点开始。
It started at 8 p.m. It started at 8 p.m. When did it end? When did it end?
什么时候结束的？
When did it end? When did it end? It ended around 11 p.m. It ended around 11 p.m.
大约在晚上11点结束。
It ended around 11 p.m. It ended around 11 p.m. How often do you go to the gym? How often do you go to the gym?
你多久去一次健身房？
How often do you go to the gym? How often do you go to the gym? I try to go 3 times a week. I try to go 3 times a week.
我试着每周去3次。
I try to go 3 times a week. I try to go 3 times a week. What days do you usually go? What days do you usually go?
你通常哪几天去？
What days do you usually go? What days do you usually go? Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
星期一、星期三和星期五。
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. What time do you usually work out? What time do you usually work out?
你通常什么时候去健身？
What time do you usually work out? What time do you usually work out? I prefer going in the morning, around 7 a.m. I prefer going in the morning, around 7 a.m.
我喜欢早上去，大概早上7点左右。
I prefer going in the morning, around 7 a.m. I prefer going in the morning, around 7 a.m. How long do you stay at the gym? How long do you stay at the gym?
你在健身房待多长时间？
How long do you stay at the gym? How long do you stay at the gym? About an hour each time. About an hour each time.
每次大约1个小时。
About an hour each time. About an hour each time. Do you have any appointments tomorrow? Do you have any appointments tomorrow?
你明天有什么预约吗？
Do you have any appointments tomorrow? Do you have any appointments tomorrow? Yes, I have a doctor's appointment at 10 a.m. Yes, I have a doctor's appointment at 10 a.m.
有，我早上10点有个医生的预约。
Yes, I have a doctor's appointment at 10 a.m. Yes, I have a doctor's appointment at 10 a.m. How long do you think it will take? How long do you think it will take?
你觉得会花多长时间？
How long do you think it will take? How long do you think it will take? It should be about an hour. It should be about an hour.
应该大约1个小时。
It should be about an hour. It should be about an hour. Are you free in the afternoon? Are you free in the afternoon?
下午你有空吗？
Are you free in the afternoon? Are you free in the afternoon? Yes, I'm free after 2 p.m. Yes, I'm free after 2 p.m.
是的，我下午2点以后有空。
Yes, I'm free after 2 p.m. Yes, I'm free after 2 p.m. What time do you need to leave for work? What time do you need to leave for work?
你通常几点出门上班？
What time do you need to leave for work? What time do you need to leave for work? I usually leave by 8:15 a.m. I usually leave by 8:15 a.m.
我通常在早上8点15分出门。
I usually leave by 8:15 a.m. I usually leave by 8:15 a.m. How long does it take you to get there? How long does it take you to get there?
你到公司需要多长时间？
How long does it take you to get there? How long does it take you to get there? About 30 minutes, depending on traffic. About 30 minutes, depending on traffic.
大约30分钟，视交通情况而定。
About 30 minutes, depending on traffic. About 30 minutes, depending on traffic. When was the last time you took a day off? When was the last time you took a day off?
你上次休息1天是什么时候？
When was the last time you took a day off? When was the last time you took a day off? A couple of weeks ago, on a Friday. A couple of weeks ago, on a Friday.
几个星期前的星期五。
A couple of weeks ago, on a Friday. A couple of weeks ago, on a Friday. Do you remember the date? Do you remember the date?
你记得日期吗？
Do you remember the date? Do you remember the date? It was the 22nd, I believe. It was the 22nd, I believe.
我想应该是22号。
It was the 22nd, I believe. It was the 22nd, I believe. When is the next holiday? When is the next holiday?
下一个假期是什么时候？
When is the next holiday? When is the next holiday? It's on the 4th of July. It's on the 4th of July.
是在7月4号。
It's on the 4th of July. It's on the 4th of July. That's coming up soon, any plans? That's coming up soon, any plans?
那很快就到了，有什么计划吗？
That's coming up soon, any plans? That's coming up soon, any plans? I might go to the beach for the day. I might go to the beach for the day.
我可能会去海滩玩1天。
I might go to the beach for the day. I might go to the beach for the day. What time do you plan to leave? What time do you plan to leave?
你打算几点出发？
What time do you plan to leave? What time do you plan to leave? Early in the morning, around 6 a.m. Early in the morning, around 6 a.m.
早上出发，大概6点左右。
Early in the morning, around 6 a.m. Early in the morning, around 6 a.m. How long is the drive? How long is the drive?
开车要多长时间？
How long is the drive? How long is the drive? It's about 2 hours. It's about 2 hours.
大约2个小时。
It's about 2 hours. It's about 2 hours. When do you usually go to the grocery store? When do you usually go to the grocery store?
你通常什么时候去超市？
When do you usually go to the grocery store? When do you usually go to the grocery store? I typically go on Sundays, around 10 a.m. I typically go on Sundays, around 10 a.m.
我通常在星期天上午10点左右去。
I typically go on Sundays, around 10 a.m. I typically go on Sundays, around 10 a.m. Do you go every week? Do you go every week?
你每周都去吗？
Do you go every week? Do you go every week? Yes, it's part of my weekend routine. Yes, it's part of my weekend routine.
是的，这是我周末的日常安排。
Yes, it's part of my weekend routine. Yes, it's part of my weekend routine. What time do you think you'll be back? What time do you think you'll be back?
你觉得几点能回来？
What time do you think you'll be back? What time do you think you'll be back? Probably around noon. Probably around noon.
可能大约中午回来。
Probably around noon. Probably around noon. Do you have a favorite time of year? Do you have a favorite time of year?
你有最喜欢的季节吗？
Do you have a favorite time of year? Do you have a favorite time of year? I love the fall, especially October. I love the fall, especially October.
我喜欢秋天，特别是10月。
I love the fall, especially October. I love the fall, especially October. When does fall usually start? When does fall usually start?
秋天通常什么时候开始？
When does fall usually start? When does fall usually start? It starts around September 21st. It starts around September 21st.
大约在9月21号左右开始。
It starts around September 21st. It starts around September 21st. What's the weather like in October? What's the weather like in October?
10月的天气怎么样？
What's the weather like in October? What's the weather like in October? It's cool and crisp, perfect for outdoor activities. It's cool and crisp, perfect for outdoor activities.
凉爽宜人，非常适合户外活动。
It's cool and crisp, perfect for outdoor activities. It's cool and crisp, perfect for outdoor activities. How long does fall last? How long does fall last?
秋天持续多久？
How long does fall last? How long does fall last? It goes until late November. It goes until late November.
一直到11月底。
It goes until late November. It goes until late November. When does winter start? When does winter start?
冬天什么时候开始？
When does winter start? When does winter start? Winter officially begins on December 21st. Winter officially begins on December 21st.
冬天在12月21号正式开始。
Winter officially begins on December 21st. Winter officially begins on December 21st. Do you like wintertime? Do you like wintertime?
你喜欢冬天吗？
Do you like wintertime? Do you like wintertime? Not really, it's too cold for me. Not really, it's too cold for me.
不太喜欢，对我来说太冷了。
Not really, it's too cold for me. Not really, it's too cold for me. When do you usually start preparing for Christmas? When do you usually start preparing for Christmas?
你通常什么时候开始准备圣诞节？
When do you usually start preparing for Christmas? When do you usually start preparing for Christmas? I start in early December, around the 1st. I start in early December, around the 1st.
我通常在12月初，大约1号左右开始。
I start in early December, around the 1st. I start in early December, around the 1st. How long does it take you to decorate? How long does it take you to decorate?
你需要多久时间装饰？
How long does it take you to decorate? How long does it take you to decorate? Just a few days, depending on how much I do. Just a few days, depending on how much I do.
几天就可以，取决于装饰多少。
Just a few days, depending on how much I do. Just a few days, depending on how much I do. Do you have any New Year's plans? Do you have any New Year's plans?
你有什么新年计划吗？
Do you have any New Year's plans? Do you have any New Year's plans? Not yet, but I might go to a party. Not yet, but I might go to a party.
还没有，但我可能会去参加派对。
Not yet, but I might go to a party. Not yet, but I might go to a party. What time does the party start? What time does the party start?
派对几点开始？
What time does the party start? What time does the party start? It usually starts around 9 p.m. It usually starts around 9 p.m.
通常在晚上9点开始。
It usually starts around 9 p.m. It usually starts around 9 p.m. How late do you stay up on New Year's Eve? How late do you stay up on New Year's Eve?
你新年夜会熬夜到多晚？
How late do you stay up on New Year's Eve? How late do you stay up on New Year's Eve? I stay up until midnight, of course. I stay up until midnight, of course.
当然要熬到午夜。
I stay up until midnight, of course. I stay up until midnight, of course. When was the last time you stayed up all night? When was the last time you stayed up all night?
你上次熬夜通宵是什么时候？
When was the last time you stayed up all night? When was the last time you stayed up all night? It was years ago, probably in college. It was years ago, probably in college.
是很多年前了，大概是大学时期。
It was years ago, probably in college. It was years ago, probably in college. Do you remember why? Do you remember why?
你记得为什么吗？
Do you remember why? Do you remember why? I was studying for a final exam. I was studying for a final exam.
我在期末考试复习。
I was studying for a final exam. I was studying for a final exam. What time did the exam start? What time did the exam start?
考试几点开始？
What time did the exam start? What time did the exam start? It started at 8 a.m., which was rough. It started at 8 a.m., which was rough.
早上8点开始，真是难熬。
It started at 8 a.m., which was rough. It started at 8 a.m., which was rough. How long did the exam last? How long did the exam last?
考试持续多长时间？
How long did the exam last? How long did the exam last? It lasted 3 hours, until 11 a.m. It lasted 3 hours, until 11 a.m.
考了3个小时，到上午11点结束。
It lasted 3 hours, until 11 a.m. It lasted 3 hours, until 11 a.m. What time do you usually go for a walk? What time do you usually go for a walk?
你通常什么时候去散步？
What time do you usually go for a walk? What time do you usually go for a walk? I like to walk in the evening, around 7 p.m. I like to walk in the evening, around 7 p.m.
我喜欢在晚上，大约7点左右去散步。
I like to walk in the evening, around 7 p.m. I like to walk in the evening, around 7 p.m. How long do you walk for? How long do you walk for?
你通常散步多久？
How long do you walk for? How long do you walk for? Usually about 30 to 45 minutes. Usually about 30 to 45 minutes.
通常30到45分钟左右。
Usually about 30 to 45 minutes. Usually about 30 to 45 minutes. Do you prefer walking alone or with someone? Do you prefer walking alone or with someone?
你喜欢独自散步还是和别人一起？
Do you prefer walking alone or with someone? Do you prefer walking alone or with someone? I enjoy both, but walking with a friend is nice. I enjoy both, but walking with a friend is nice.
我都喜欢，不过和朋友一起散步也不错。
I enjoy both, but walking with a friend is nice. I enjoy both, but walking with a friend is nice. When do you usually have breakfast? When do you usually have breakfast?
你通常几点吃早餐？
When do you usually have breakfast? When do you usually have breakfast? I eat around 7:30 a.m. on weekdays. I eat around 7:30 a.m. on weekdays.
我平日早上7点半左右吃早餐。
I eat around 7:30 a.m. on weekdays. I eat around 7:30 a.m. on weekdays. Do you have a set time for breakfast on weekends? Do you have a set time for breakfast on weekends?
周末你有固定的早餐时间吗？
Do you have a set time for breakfast on weekends? Do you have a set time for breakfast on weekends? Not really, I eat whenever I wake up. Not really, I eat whenever I wake up.
不一定，通常醒来后才吃。
Not really, I eat whenever I wake up. Not really, I eat whenever I wake up. How often do you go out for breakfast? How often do you go out for breakfast?
你多久出去吃早餐一次？
How often do you go out for breakfast? How often do you go out for breakfast? Maybe once a month, usually on a Sunday. Maybe once a month, usually on a Sunday.
大概每月一次，通常是在星期天。
Maybe once a month, usually on a Sunday. Maybe once a month, usually on a Sunday. What time do restaurants typically open? What time do restaurants typically open?
餐厅通常几点开门？
What time do restaurants typically open? What time do restaurants typically open? Most open around 8 or 9 a.m. Most open around 8 or 9 a.m.
大多数在早上8点或9点开门。
Most open around 8 or 9 a.m. Most open around 8 or 9 a.m. When do you usually start work? When do you usually start work?
你通常几点开始工作？
When do you usually start work? When do you usually start work? I start at 9 a.m., but sometimes earlier. I start at 9 a.m., but sometimes earlier.
我通常在早上9点开始工作，但有时会早一点。
I start at 9 a.m., but sometimes earlier. I start at 9 a.m., but sometimes earlier. How long is your workday? How long is your workday?
你的一天工作多长时间？
How long is your workday? How long is your workday? It's about 8 hours, from 9 to 5. It's about 8 hours, from 9 to 5.
大约8小时，从早上9点到下午5点。
It's about 8 hours, from 9 to 5. It's about 8 hours, from 9 to 5. Do you take breaks during the day? Do you take breaks during the day?
你白天会休息吗？
Do you take breaks during the day? Do you take breaks during the day? Yes, I take a short break around 10:30 a.m. Yes, I take a short break around 10:30 a.m.
会的，我通常在早上10点半左右休息一会儿。
Yes, I take a short break around 10:30 a.m. Yes, I take a short break around 10:30 a.m. When do you usually take lunch? When do you usually take lunch?
你通常几点吃午饭？
When do you usually take lunch? When do you usually take lunch? I take lunch at 12:30 p.m. I take lunch at 12:30 p.m.
我在12点半吃午饭。
I take lunch at 12:30 p.m. I take lunch at 12:30 p.m. How long is your lunch break? How long is your lunch break?
你的午休多长时间？
How long is your lunch break? How long is your lunch break? It's about 30 minutes. It's about 30 minutes.
大约30分钟。
It's about 30 minutes. It's about 30 minutes. When do you usually finish work? When do you usually finish work?
你通常几点结束工作？
When do you usually finish work? When do you usually finish work? I usually finish by 5:30 p.m. I usually finish by 5:30 p.m.
我通常在下午5点半左右结束工作。
I usually finish by 5:30 p.m. I usually finish by 5:30 p.m. Do you work overtime often? Do you work overtime often?
你经常加班吗？
Do you work overtime often? Do you work overtime often? Occasionally, but I try to avoid it. Occasionally, but I try to avoid it.
偶尔会，但我尽量避免。
Occasionally, but I try to avoid it. Occasionally, but I try to avoid it. What time do you usually get home? What time do you usually get home?
你通常几点到家？
What time do you usually get home? What time do you usually get home?
今天的影片就到这里结束。如果你喜欢这种英文练习方式的话，可以考虑订阅我们的频道，然后在底下按赞并分享出去。有什么建议也可以在留言区告诉我们，让我们产出更符合你所期望的影片。我们下次再见，拜拜。